Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of Ararat province in Armenia. Not to be confused with FC Ararat, Armenia. I guess that is Armenia, or at least Yerevan's big football team. They're called Ararat, Armenia. That's not what this video is about. So if you saw that in the title and thought this was about the football club, it is not that. It is about the province here in Armenia, which is of course named after Mount Ararat, which is right here, which is in Turkey. Yes, that is not what we're going to talk about tonight, but just know that the actual Ararat is over here. But this region has a lot of history in it nonetheless, and the capital of the province, Artashat, has a very, very important historical site that we're going to talk about, and I'm going to show you on Google Earth. I was always checking for UNESCO sites, and there aren't any, but this town of Dvin is on the tentative list, and I'll tell you why in a bit. This area right along here, where you can see all these towns are, is part of the Ararat Plain, which is dominated by the Ararat River, which makes up the border with Armenia and Turkey. The area around Mount Ararat slopes down drastically down here and creates this really fertile valley along the river. So that's why most of the towns you see are right along here. Not to mention the rest of it is very mountainous. It's part of the Lesser Caucasus mountain range. Some interesting sites up there too. If you're wondering what's happening here, this is actually part of Azerbaijan. This is Nakhchivan, which is a region of Azerbaijan. So we'll talk about in its history why there's just a little blip of Azerbaijan right there. Let's get into the history. The capital city of Artashat was founded in 176 BCE and would eventually become the capital of Armenia. There were many different kingdoms that ruled this area before then, but this was the time when Armenia as we know it today was really starting to take shape. Not this shape, that would come much later, but creating the Armenian culture and society that is still around today. One of the kings that was ruling here was named Tiridates II. And one day in the 200s CE, right, he needed a new advisor, so he called over someone from Europe to be his advisor, and this guy named Gregory showed up. He was like, "Oh great Gregory, you can advise me in my role, give me wisdom, pray to the pagan gods, so on and so forth." And Gregory went, "Hold on, I don't pray to pagan gods, I'm a Christian." And Tiridates was like, "Oh my gosh, I spent all this time hiring this guy and he's a Christian? Oh my gosh, what a waste." So he decided to throw him in this pit outside of town, in this area called Korvirap. And Gregory stayed there. It's debatable, but it's probably around 13 years. And the only way he survived was because a woman from a village nearby had a dream that, I guess an angel came to her or something and told her to give the guy in the hole a loaf of bread every day. So she came every day with bread to feed him. But he was in the dark for well over a decade, can you imagine? Later on, the Roman emperor was looking for a wife he found this beautiful girl. She did not want to marry him, so she fled and made it all the way here to Armenia, where Tiridates thought she was gorgeous and wanted to keep her for himself. And so she decided to, cut her life short so she wouldn't have to marry anyone. And Tiridates went mad, was so distraught that he basically lost his sanity. And his wife, I believe it was his wife, had a dream that I guess an angel came to her and said the only way to cure him is to get that guy out of that pit. So she went and got Gregory the Illuminator out of the pit at Corfirop, brought him before the king, and he cured the king's madness. And I'm sure the king thought that that guy had, disintegrated. Like, it was completely gone, right? To see him alive was probably a shock because he didn't know he was being fed. And then, now that he cured him, the king decided to convert to Christianity. And about a year after that, he declared that Armenia was a Christian nation in the year 301. And Armenia became the first official Christian nation in the world. End of story time. Isn't that neat? I think that's a neat story. It all happened right there. The capital moved around a lot. It actually moved over to Divin until it was destroyed when the Mongols invaded. But I couldn't find much other interesting history in this area until the 1920s. By then, the Soviet Union was going strong. They were officially a thing. And this area had been part of Russia, so they came to claim it for the Soviet Union. And they saw all of this fertile land here and thought, perfect farmland, to feed everyone in our giant nation, since everyone in our communist country is getting the equal amounts of food. We need a lot of food. So this area became extremely agricultural. And a lot of these towns were founded, including the town of Ararat, you can see there. It's not an ancient town. This town was created in the 1920s. They just named it an ancient name. And the town of Artashat, as we know it, was built around this time. It's an industrial center, named after the ancient town. So a lot of these towns you see here aren't the towns from the old Armenian kingdoms. They're Soviet planned grid cities, right? In the 1950s, this area became a huge industrial center, and all of the actual cities here, or I guess towns, became factories for various products. But they're all named after the ancient sites that were once there, and I think that's really cool. I think it's surprising that the Soviets allowed that, but by then it was the Armenia SSR, and they had their own set of rules. In 1990, or I suppose 1991, Armenia was officially its own country. The Soviet Union had broke up. They declared independence. And the Soviets did this thing, I'm sure sounded like a great idea at the time. But to divide up all of their areas, they split it by ethnicity. So they're like, oh, the Armenians are in the Armenian SSR. The Azeris are in Azerbaijan SSR. But this area is a big mishmash of both cultures, and two different languages, two different religions. Not a lot of similarities overlapping here. I mean, there are, but two different cultures existing here. And the Soviets did a really bad job drawing these borders. What they made part of Azerbaijan had a lot of Armenians. What they made part of Armenia had a lot of Azeris. So once independence was a thing for these two countries, there was a huge disagreement on where the lines should be drawn. And war broke out between the two countries, and it was not a kind war. It was very vicious. is still technically ongoing today. They declared, a truce, but it has flared up constantly. The most recent one, I think, was in 2021. Azerbaijan's been threatening action in the past month or so, but also talking about peace talks. It's still very complicated. But it's how we get all of these different borders here in Nagorno-Karabakh, Nakhchivan, and in places like this. In this area is a little town called Kharkiv, and it is an Azeri town, and Armenia invaded it and took control in 1992. So it's one of those places that this is technically Azerbaijan, but it is administrated by Armenia. And since it's just a little village, it's only about 150 people living there. The rest is just mountain landscape. It's not like Azerbaijan is clamoring for this piece of land, right? They're much more interested in controlling Nagorno-Karabakh before figuring out all these little things. So, very, very interesting, isn't it? There's all kinds of little exclaves. There's Armenian ones, there's Azeri ones, all along the borders here. It's just neat that I get to talk about one. Even though, like, on Google Earth, there's not much to show you there. It's literally just a tiny, tiny farming town. But speaking of Google Earth, let's switch over to the tablet, because there's so many things that I can show you here. I kind of have to pick and choose which ones I'm going to show you. So let's go to the tablet. So here you can see I have Ararat province highlighted. I'm going to zoom out so you can see exactly where we are in the world. I know not a lot of people know where the Caucasus area is. So the Caucasus is this bridge area here between European Russia up here, and down here is Turkey and Iran. It's this middle part. Is it European? Is it Asian? Yes, to both, technically. It's one of those things that, like, it's important, but also not. It's just its own thing. I clicked off it, so anyway. There's Mount Ararat. We already covered it in my series here. We're talking about this area of Turkey. So if you want to see that in detail, if I remember, I'll throw it up in the corner there. I hope I remember. If I don't, let me know, and I'll make a little card for it. But let's start off. Actually, let's look at the town of Ararat, so I can show you that it is just a little grid town. You can see all the factory and industry there. The Soviets really liked efficiency above everything else, so everything's laid out in very neat little rows and lines. But look at this farmland. It is such a beautiful little patchwork quilt. Isn't that gorgeous? I love to see the farmland like this. And look at this. Wait, I'm in the wrong part. There we go. That, like, you can see the rocks over there. This is Turkey. But how barren it gets. Boom. And I suppose it has to do with the fact that Mount Ararat has erupted. It's a volcano. And it's all, well, volcanic region. But it just kind of goes to show how lush this area is. Because all along the river here, it's just farms, and then boom, barren rocks, right? Very, very lush little corner. I bet the volcanic activity has something to do with that, too. But we're not talking about Turkey today. Again, that's a whole other fish to fry that we are not getting into. If you know, you know. We're not talking about that tonight. Also, I was looking at this. I assume it's aquatic farming? Some kind of marshland? What is that? Oh, I know what this is, actually. This is the gold mine. And the issue is that the way that they're mining this gold, there's a lot of waste, and it's radioactive and toxic, and is apparently killing animals, and could very well kill people as well. That's what that is. It just occurred to me. Alright, let me get the lines back up because I don't want to wander around in the wrong area. I'm not going to show you the slideshow because that's spoilers, actually. Alright. I'm going to show you. Let's head over to... How am I lost again? There we go. Artishot. Artishot is down here. Yet another very efficiently laid out former Soviet factory town, right? With all the beautiful farms on the outside. But we're gonna go past all these factories and things down here to Kor Virab. There's a neat little wetland over here. But over here is the Kor Virab Monastery. This was the building built on top of the site where Gregory was kept prisoner all that time. And you can see beautiful Mount Ararat in the distance. Mount Ararat, if you don't know, is very, very special to Armenians. Armenians consider themselves descendants of Noah, as in the Ark. And the ancient story is that Noah's Ark landed on Mount Ararat. So very important to Armenians. Look how beautiful it is. And look at the monastery there. It's so pretty. Armenian churches are just a whole other style of pretty, I think, with these neat little rounded towers and these beautiful archways and the stonework. I love how every Armenian church I've seen, the stonework is different. It makes the same shapes of buildings, but the stones are always different. There's the inside. They look like little castles, don't they? Look how beautiful the details there. It's so neat. It's a very, very special holy place for the Armenian church. Look how old it is. Again, it's from like the 300s, right? It's seen a lot of stuff happen over the years. That must be Gregory right there. The view, we can see the town out there. Ooh, climbing up that must be treacherous. I guess it's to get inside the tower. But yeah, what a neat little area. All of these old Armenian churches are neat for their own ways. But that one's a little different, isn't it? It's a very special spot. What else can I show you? Let's look at Divin while we're over here. If it'll pop up. Divin. Do you see it? I know it's over here somewhere. Again, it's one of those places that pops up no problem when I'm not filming. But then when I am filming, it vanishes. Oh my goodness. I know it's just around the corner. We saw it on my map. Maybe it's over here. Divin, where'd you go? Hello. I know you're over here. My goodness. Okay. I don't feel like playing hide and seek. Let's type it in. D-V-I-N. Divin, Armenia. How close was I? Oh, I was way off. Okay, here's Divin. So, I wonder if this will show us the site. Yeah, I think that's the archaeological site. Oh, look at that. How incredible. The old capital. There's the little church. Much more modern than the older ones, right? Big old Mount Ararat there in the distance. In the ruined town. So neat. So if they do make it a UNESCO site anytime soon, I took you there. Don't say I didn't. Let's go take a look at this area over here, because you can see these big old mountains, right? I'm going to show you some cool stuff in these mountains, but it depends on whether or not I remember where they are, right? Geophysical Observatory? I didn't see that before. Is there anything cool here? Probably not. Just some snowy pictures. Little things. This is neat. An old fortress. It's super ruined, but you can still see all the towers and walls. A little archway there. Look at that. So I don't know the story behind this place. Do you think it was the Mongols, or was it Romans? Was it Muslims? Sassanids, Persians of some kind? What happened to this place? It definitely saw something because it's not all rotted from age. It looks like it was attacked. I wonder how there's little friends. Do you see them clamoring around? That's a neat little site there. Let's see. Down here, I think there's some stuff to show you. But again, I have to find it. Like this. Look at this canyon. Look. Wow. It's so narrow, but so cool. Look at these perfect lines in the rock. I know I always say Mother Nature doesn't make straight lines, but sometimes in cases of erosion, she does. Sometimes. In these very rare instances. What a neat canyon that is. Pretty flowers. Oop, and a pickle spider. It's just a garden spider, though. Those kinds of spiders can't hurt you. Little mountain streams. You can take your mountain bike, play in the canyon. Look at that. Wow, that's incredible. Oh, how neat. That's a neat spot. We have... I think this is in Armenian. I can't read it, but if I recall, this was a neat spot too. Oh yeah, it's a big lumpy hill. And I was wondering, looking at this, I wonder if this is a little volcano, because doesn't it look like one? Oh, the last picture's not loading. Oh, there it goes. Oh, the panorama there. That's so beautiful. I wonder if that's just a tiny little, because look at him. Look at him in 3D. I bet you that's a volcano. Probably not an active one, but look at the area around it and its shape. I bet you. That used to be a little volcano. This will show you the entire reserve, which is pretty much all of this area here. More beautiful landscapes here, but look at these rock formations. I wonder if it's basalt columns. Kind of like what you would see at the Giant's Causeway in Ireland. Whoa. That can't be authentic. That's almost too perfect. Really pretty. Look at these little rocks. That can't be Mother Nature. I bet people stacked them up. Look at this person taking a picture. I bet these are stacked up just so. But yeah, look at these column rocks. And I know it's a volcanic thing too, so I bet you it is. Sorry if you heard my tummy just there. And look at, you can see little places that's been carved into these rocks. Very cool. There's another beautiful old church here. I know I'm not going to find it, but I was playing in this area and I found, oh no, never mind, here it is. I spoke too soon. It was in this slideshow. This old ruined, no, come back. This old ruined church here. And you can see I was telling about stonework. Look at these beautiful red and black. That's so pretty. I'm sure this was a gorgeous church when it was all bold and had its big old tower and everything. I think that's so pretty. I forgot that was in the slideshow. Someone painted the Armenian flag on that rock. I feel like I thought that was in a different slideshow. It was in this one. That's funny. Right when I was talking about it. That's pretty too. Let's see. Since I know you want to see it, here's a little corner of Azerbaijan. There's the little town. I don't think it has a slideshow. No, it doesn't, I remember. Oh no. Stop. I swear this did not have a slideshow 2 days ago when I looked at it. So this is a little Azeri town. I couldn't tell you if the people living there are Azeri or Armenian. But this part is technically Azerbaijan. You can see it's a lot of beautiful rolling hills. There's Ararat in the background there. Oh, so pretty. It's such a gorgeous mountain. But, yeah, I swear this did not have a slideshow when I last tapped on it. That's so funny. Google Earth is always full of surprises. But yeah, this is the town, right? Like, Azerbaijan is not scrambling to get this town back. Not at all. The sunset behind the mountain was pretty. Yeah, it's just a little place. There's not much going on there. Just people living their quiet lives. Let's finish out this video looking at this slideshow. Tezkar Mountain. Let's see. Oh, it's a short slideshow. So, that's pretty. So let me find one more to show you. Maybe an old monastery, or how about this church? Do you have a lot of pictures? Spitak Koch Church? Oh yeah. Oh, that's an even more ruined church. Look at that. Oh my gosh, it's incredible. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. This is an ongoing series on my channel. And next I'm going to be taking you to Colombia. And it's an interesting place because there's not much geography to show you and not much history. But I wandered through Google Earth for a long time and found lots of cool sites to show you. So if you enjoyed this tablet segment, be sure to subscribe because you don't want to miss out. I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational. And I hope that you have a good